for Technical Education, New Delhi, and a Ministry of Human Resource Development (MHRD) assistantship at IIT Roorkee, India. Dr. Vivekanand Sir worked as a postdoctoral research scientist for 7 years in Sweden and Norway. At the University of Gothenburg, Sweden, he was awarded a seed grant from the Royal Society of Arts and Sciences of Sweden to work on low lignin oats. Subsequently, Dr. Vivekanand Sir worked on biomass to bioenergy projects with the premier Norwegian Biomass Research Group at the Norwegian University of Life Science at Norway's National Facility for Biogas. He has a keen research interest and expertise in biomass pre-treatment, bioprocessing, as well as its conversion for bioenergy applications. He is closely associated with the Norwegian Center for Bioenergy Research, the Norwegian Institute for Agricultural and Environmental Research, SLU, CAMBI, and TINEAS for conducting biomass-based research targeting the development and advancement of the upcoming generation of biofuels. May I now request Dr. Vivekanand Sir to kindly take over the session. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Tanishka, for generous introduction. And thank you, Dr. Dhrubajyoti Neog from Department of Petroleum Technology, Dibrugarh University, including his team, whom I might have interacted a little, but yeah, there are many energetic and dynamic people who are making this AICTE Training and Learning Academy FDP very successful, which is sponsored by the Department of Petroleum Technology of the Dibrugarh University. I thank all the people involved, including Vice Chancellor Sir and others, for this successful program. And the quality of program itself is so high that even in this Corona time, there are more than 38 people attending it from wide the nation, especially such a high distant, northeast region, the seven sisters states of India. So I'm very happy to see the success of this program with this many number of participants who are very actively participating. The feedbacks I was getting, like, yeah, there are people with a different academic background in this FDP from around the country. So thank you, Dr. Dhrubajyoti, and I congratulate you for organizing such a wonderful and interesting FDP, which collects n number of people from the different and very wide expertise with hand, and that truly tells you directly or indirectly about the success of this program, because of its in a true sense it's a multidisciplinary. You have petroleum, you have bioenergy, you have yoga, you have peace of mind, and many other things, which is very much required for a 360-degree development of faculty as well as a student. So I congratulate you and your team, including Tanishka and others involved, faculty members, as well as the whole administration at the Dibrugarh University, to design such a balanced program. Otherwise, sometimes if it's very much scientific, people really feel bored. And since it talks about the yoga, bioenergy, renewable energy, petroleum refining, and many others, I can't take all the names, but yeah, it's such a balance. Kind of balanced diet for the brain, actually. So yeah, thank you so much for the generous introduction, and I again pay my courtesy and thanks to the whole administration for inviting me for this thing, so that we could share the knowledge and learn new things. And if there are any questions or anything I can be of help, I am available all the time. Phone and mail is already there. So I will just start sharing the presentation, and slowly we'll start. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I'll start, and maybe I'll put off my video for a while, because sometimes there are connection failures, so that at least the screen is visible. Okay. Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
fine. So yes, I'll start. So this is more related with the bioenergy production from agricultural residue or stubble, agricultural biomass. So what happens is uh, there are a number of agricultural biomasses, and then there are different conversion process, including thermal conversion, chemical conversion, biochemical conversion, all that stuff. So today we will be talking how a biochemical conversion of lignocellulosic biomass, that is agricultural residues, can help in producing more methane, as well as its farm scale bioreactor designing, and how a bioreactor can be used in a batch mode so that the farmer fills it with the agricultural residues, puts cow dung and forgets it for 6 months and gets the biogas for that period of time. So we'll discuss with that, and this talk is more focused on solid state anaerobic digestion of agricultural stubble and its simultaneous treatment for improved methanogenesis. So since India is an agricultural country, and the gross agricultural residues in India produced per year is around 686 million tons. Out of that, about 450 million tons is utilized in the form of animal fodder as well as domestic cooking, where people convert all this energy stored in the biomass by total or full combustion of these biomass called solid biofuels, and they simply burn it. It can be straw, it can be dried wood, it can be dried twigs and leaves, etc. And then rest of the 234 million tons remains unutilized. That is, subjected sometimes for the open burning, or just left like that, which creates a lot of air pollution, especially open burning. And you might be hearing the news on yearly basis that Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, National Capital Region of Delhi, they all are very much polluted during, especially with this Deepavali time, because that is also the harvesting time of all these agricultural cereals like rice and straw, wheat straw, rice, and all that stuff. And then they burn it. So point is like how to avoid it, how to get the energy stored in that agricultural stubble in the utilized form so that we can use it. So there are, option one, like just leave it on its fate, go for open burning, which causes air pollution. And then the second option is to go for anaerobic digestion and produce combined heat and power, the CHP, which can be used for cooking as well as transportation fuel. Let me tell you here, in the terms of transportation fuel, bioenergy, it has a very unique characteristic, very peculiar characteristic, that only the bioenergy can provide liquefied, methane or bioethanol or biobutanol, biopropanol, which can directly be used in the internal combustion engine without changing too much of its internal configuration. The rest of the renewable energy sources like solar as well as wind, you can store the energy in the battery, and you can take this battery in the form of EV and use those stored solar and wind energy power to run the car or bike, etc. But the uniqueness of this bioenergy, where this can be directly utilized in the form of biomethane, biobutanol, bioethanol, biopropanol, as well as biodiesel in different percentage combination like E20, B10, something like that, some percentages, and then you don't have to change the internal configuration of the IC engines. That is the beauty of bioenergy. So let us see what is anaerobic digestion. I will be very happy if you interrupt me, and if you don't find anything very clear, just interrupt me. You can ask the questions right away, because I do teach in a very interactive class. So whenever you feel like no, you are not getting the things, you just stop me and ask the questions. I will be very happy. So anaerobic digestion, the name itself suggests N means without, aerobic means air, and digestion. So without air digestion, and air contains oxygen. So anything in the absence of oxygen getting biologically degraded is anaerobic digestion. And it has 4 different steps. Hydrolysis, where enzymes, they break the polymer like cellulose, protein, and fats into their monomeric units like glucose from the cellulose, amino acids from the protein, and the small fatty acid molecules or lipids from the fats. Then all these monomeric units, with the help of bacteria, they are converted to various acids. Volatile fatty acids, VFA, and those volatile fatty acids could be formic acid, acetic acid, propionic acid, butyric acid, etc. Again, these acetic, butyric, and all those volatile fatty acids, they are transformed to acetate ions with the help of acetogenic bacteria in the reactor, and then they convert all these formic, acetic, propionic, butyric acid to acetate ions. Further, there is a group of microorganisms called archaea. They are extremophiles. They are slow growers. Their population is less, but they perform in extreme environmental conditions. That's why they call it extremophiles. So they convert all these acetate ions into methane and carbon dioxide. And biogas is the mixture of methane and carbon dioxide, more the methane, which is the real combustible source gas of the biogas system. It indicates the quality of biogas at commercial level. So if there is a more commercial, more percentage in the biogas of the methane, you will be having more and more good quality biogas at the industrial scale, and then it will be much more, having a lot of higher calorific value to get burned. If not, and even if with the help of CO2 and methane, that is called biogas, at home, at a decentralized level, if you have biogas plant, we don't purify the biogas, we directly use the biogas for cooking or heating purposes. But at industrial scale, if you are producing like more than 200 cubic meters, biogas balloons are there at industrial scale, commercial scale, then sometimes we need to purify this biogas. Purify in the sense, remove the CO2, remove some parts of the H2S, hydrogen sulfide also comes, and all these impurities. And for that, the process is called scrubbing. Then there are a number of scrubbing technologies. I will not teach you directly, I tell you directly those. But we can remove the CO2, get the methane pure up to 98%, and then this biomethane, after the purification or scrubbing, can be bottled in the cylinders, compressed, and used as a vehicle fuel, what all or most of the European countries are currently using. Secondly, even this biomethane is also called bio-CNG, because you produced it in the laboratory condition or terrestrial conditions. But the CNG, what you hear also, like mega cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, Chennai, even Guwahati, I think, the CNG, compressed natural gas, that is also pure methane, which is coming out from the biogas wells or gas wells around India. So CNG is the biochemical nature of CNG is methane. It's just methane coming out from the gas well. That is called CNG. And once you produce it here biologically outside the gas wells, that is, and purify that biogas, that is called bio-CNG. So that is the difference. And then once you can pressurize it, liquefy it, and fill it in the biogas cylinders, it's fantastic, and it just has a very high calorific value, which can be used for transportation purposes in IC engines, or even cooking or heating the appliances at home. So anaerobic digestion. Do you have any questions till now? Any questions till now? Can anybody tell me if we are connected? Hello? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay, fine. Because sometimes the connection is lost and I can keep on speaking.
No,
Okay,
no, sir. We will let you know.
sure, please. So, and if there are questions, just let me. So, anaerobic digestion is like of two types. One is liquid state anaerobic digestion, and another is solid state anaerobic digestion. In liquid state anaerobic digestion, the organic loading rate, that is OLR, is around 2 to 5 kilo volatile solid per cubic meter of the reactor's volume. There is a high energy input in this LSAD system. Total solid mass, I mean the consistency of the slurry is less than 15%. And this liquid state anaerobic digestion is good for wastewater treatment as well as food waste anaerobic digestion to produce biogas from this system. However, looking at the state of Rajasthan, which is already a water deficient state, it's a desert state of India. We don't have that much water as the Assam or rest of the northeast, uh, states have, because Cherrapunji and all this they keep on, rain around the year. But here, Rajasthan, I think there are only 88 days, something like that, which are really cloudy or rainy. Rest of the days of the year, it's just bright sun with high temperature. So it's a desert state of Rajasthan. There is water deficiency in most of the districts. So we thought, why don't we work in the interest of a regional goal, so that we could help state with the less water consumption and use of anaerobic digestion. So solid state anaerobic digestion requires a small reactor volume, and the organic loading rate can go from 5 to 12 kilogram volatile solid per cubic meter. The energy input is low. The total solid mass or the consistency of the slurry can be more than 15%. And this is very good for the lignocellulosic biomass. Lignocellulosic in the sense, all this agricultural biomass, grass, twigs, stems, plants, which are not of use directly, because they contain lignin, which is nature's glue, and it keeps all those cellulosic fibers all together. And cellulose, you know that directly. So, what are the bottlenecks or research gaps that should be worked on so that solid state anaerobic digestion can be, used in a practice and be benefited for the society at large? So, methanogenesis rate, it totally depends on the total solid, amount of the lignocellulosic biomass or the feedstock, hydrolysis of the first step of the anaerobic digestion, and syntropy of the process. Recalcitrance is a kind of property of any material which makes it resistant for its degradation. It's very difficult to degrade biologically. Like lignin, it's nature's glue and keeps all these plant fibers all together, so we cannot separate it easily. Then CN ratio, carbon and nitrogen ratio. Like suppose I take the example of wheat straw. It has a CN ratio of around more than 125 because it don't have any nitrogen. It has a lot of carbon. So any anaerobic digestion system, for its stable running, it needs the CN ratio in the range of 30 to 35. If it's less or more than 30 to 35 range, the biogas plant is going to be unstable. And I think we all are, villager people. We have seen most of the time that biogas plant runs for a while, then it, just gets unstabilized, then it's, stops working, and poor farmer, he, runs here and there to get some advice, to get some help and support, but nobody is there to, listen him and fix these issues. So these are the small, awareness kind of kits also, which tell you scientifically why a biogas plant, runs and why it stops. So CN ratio, if it's in the range of 30 to 35, the plant will go very nicely. So if the CN ratio is that much high of the wheat straw, more than 125, how can we bring it down to the 30 to 35 range? Idea is, why not to add other feedstocks or other biomass and call it multi-feedstock anaerobic digestion, so that you have things which are coming into the biogas plant which have nitrogen, and nitrogen is present in protein, amino acids, amino group. So let's add some kind of food waste which has dal, pulses, or let's add some kind of slaughterhouse waste like blood and other meat which is left over and not of use. Let us add some poultry waste. Let us add some piggery waste which has a lot of nitrogen. And then automatically the CN ratio, yeah, you have to calculate it scientifically. And then the CN ratio will be in the range of 30 to 35. And then your reactor will go smooth and it will run at a very stable rate and you will not have any problem. Potential instability of the biogas plant is caused by acidification and micronutrient imbalance. Acidification in the sense, as I already told you, we will go back here. Look at the step 2 in the left picture called acidogenesis. And this is carried out by bacteria. Upper left, the bacteria in red color I have written, and the archaea in the right hand in the left picture. So bacteria are fast growers. They convert all these glucose, amino acid, and fatty acid to acids very fast. But this archaea, they use all those acetate ions very slowly to transform those acetate ions to methane and carbon dioxide. So once it is here, the acidogenesis phase, here if it's too much acid accumulated, if you feed the reactor too much, then there will be production of lot of acid, and this production rate of lot of volatile fatty acid will be much more compared to the conversion rate of all these volatile fatty acid or acetate ions to the biogas. And once all these acids are accumulated, the pH really goes down and your reactor becomes sour. The most of the microbes or bacteria, they are dead in low pH condition, and your reactor becomes again unstable. So sometimes you might be passing by and you might have a smell that biogas plant has stopped working, and then there is a foul smell coming out from it. That is because of the acidification of the system. And due to this acidification, all these volatile fatty acids, because of the volatilization, you smell all those acids which are really, the foul smelling, and then your reactor stops. How to revive this biogas reactor or biogas plant? For that, you again have to bring a cow dung or buffalo dung, and then feed all this dung into the biogas plant so that you could again enrich the population of those microbial communities, especially bacteria and archaea, which were there. And once they start replicating, reproducing, increase their number, and again start to munch around all these volatile fatty acids produced over there, convert it to biogas, then you are happy and your bioreactor becomes more active and it produces a lot of biogas. In the meantime, there is the imbalance, because if there are more people and less resources, or more resources, less people, there is a imbalance. So there has to be balance where the micronutrients are available, which can be used by all these bacteria directly as a balanced diet or as a extra nutrients, so that they could have a stable physiology and then go as fast as possible to produce the higher amount of methane. So what kind of research gaps we found was the efforts to reduce recalcitrance of biomass prior to AD, anaerobic digestion, and not with anaerobic process has been done. Limited employment of carbon-based materials, anaerobic digestion like synthetic substrates, sewage sludge, food waste, has not been for the lignocellulosic residues. Full-scale application of lignocellulosic materials in solid-state anaerobic digestion system incorporating simultaneous treatment has rarely been explored or reported. So let me tell you what is the treatment or pre-treatment, which is tried before you start anaerobic digestion. So objectives were to enhance cellulose bioavailability and syntropic relation and solid-state anaerobic digestion by simultaneous treatment of agricultural residues for improved methane yield. Second was to derive scale-up conditions for full-scale solid-state anaerobic digester and perform economic analysis for energy production. Before that, let's improve our knowledge background, why the pre-treatment is required and what is pre-treatment. The name itself says pre and treatment. So pre-treatment is a kind of process which makes the hydrolysis efficient. I'll tell you from a daily life example, we all eat chole and rajma and gram, the chana. So what happens is, before we boil it in the next morning at home, we used to soak it overnight, the rajma or the chole or the chana. And next morning, once it imbibes the water, then we put it in pressure cooker, give it few number of whistles, and then it becomes cooked and becomes soft, so that it could be fried and mixed with a lot of spices and all other things, and then we eat it. And if we don't soak it in water overnight, and if we directly cook it, what is happening? We have to give more number of whistles. We have to cook it longer duration of time in the pressure cooker, so that the rajma or chole or chana becomes softer, so that we can eat it. And if not, if we eat it raw, it will create a lot of stomachache and all other things. So what happens is that once we pre-treat it in night, I mean we soak the rajma or chole or chana in the night, the water is absorbed. And the water goes in between I'm talking at molecular level, water goes in between the cell wall and plasma membrane of those cells, plant cells or materials. And then it becomes swelled because of the entry of water into the, just think about one piece of rajma or one piece of chana before and after water is soaked, and then size is enlarged because of the entry of water into the chana system, And once we cook it in the pressure cooker, there is a high temperature, there is a high pressure, there is a good heat and closed system, so that it can't escape. And then once the little pressure is applied, all those cell walls, they are totally ruptured because of the presence of water and the conversion of steam from that water inside. And then the whole cell wall becomes ruptured, and then only the rajma, chole or chana becomes softer. So this step, before we really cook or fry that rajma, chole or chana, so this step of soaking it into the water and next morning getting it swelled to get it ready for the cooking is called pre-treatment. Same is the condition with the help of, not with the help of, rather same is the condition for the agricultural materials like wood, like wheat straw, like rice straw. Because if we keep it just like that and put it into the biogas plant for its anaerobic digestion so that it could be converted into methane and carbon dioxide, it will take long time to get it degraded naturally with the help of bacteria. But if we go for some kind of pre-treatment, be it a chemical, be it a biological, be it a physical, be it a biochemical, then what we do, we remove lignin from this cellulosic biomass, and then cellulose, which is a polymer of glucose, is exposed to the bacteria, and all these bacteria, they chop it down with the help of their enzyme and produce the monomeric unit that is called glucose. And once you have glucose, you can make anything out of it with the help of right microorganisms. Am I clear? Yes, no? We are here? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So for the objective one, to enhance cellulose bioavailability syntrophic relation in solid state remediation by simultaneous treatment of agricultural residues for improved methane. So it was divided into three parts: part 1, part 2, and part 3. Part 1 in the sense like selection of total solid and temperature. Temperature, as you already know, that Rajasthan is quite hot in temperature. Total solid, so that we could push more and more feedstock or straw, so that it could produce more and more methane. But all the time it's not true, because everything has a limit. If we push too much solid, the reactor may become unresponsive and unstable. Part 2 was selection of alkali loading, so that we could remove the lignin from the top layer of this lignocellulosic biomass. It's kind of a skin. So we have taken different types of alkalis and then the different concentration. Then for the syntrophic relation, direct interspecies electron transfer, that is called DIET, is very important, because then it will make the chemical kinetics very fast and process very efficient. And then we have more and more methane production. So selection of biochar loading, that was SSAD system 3. So we'll go one by one. So this is the selection of TS, in the sense total solid and temperature. Feedstock was per millet straw. Per millet straw is, in Hindi we call it bajra, millet. And this bajra or per millet is typically grown in Rajasthan. It's very much rich and nutritious, and it's very much rich in iron, and it's very nutritious actually. So, and Rajasthan is the #1 producer in the country for the bajra, and it requires very less amount of water to grow in the field. So we used per millet straw because most of the straw is not used. The plant of the per millet straw is just like a corn plant, because it's not like wheat, it's just like corn. And then on the top it has corn cobs kind of thing, where you can remove those food grains from that. And then rest of the leaves and stem is not edible. It is used by as a food and fodder by the animals, like especially in camels in Rajasthan, and some donkeys and horses. But cow and buffalo, they like it less, really less. So mostly it is used by the camels and horses. So we used straw from the per millet. The retention time was 60 days. Volume was 600 milliliters. Total solid, we tried to check for the 15, 20, and 25 and 30%. And then we also used it for mesophilic as well as thermophilic conditions. The mesophilic in the sense the normal temperature, and summer in the Rajasthan, the temperature goes up to 50 plus degrees, especially in Jaisalmer, etc. It crosses 50 and Bikaner. So this is the result. In the left one, you see cumulative methane yield. And then in the right picture, you see average methane percentage and carbon dioxide percentage. So you see here, from the top, like 30% total solid, 25% total solid, 20% total solid, and 15% total solid. I'll just take the pointer here. So this is the upper half here is for mesophilic, and this lower half is for the thermophilic. So of course, in thermophilic, there was a much more, gas, up to 25% of total solid at 52 degrees. And you see there's a methane around 180 to 190 liters per kilogram of volatile solid, this dark blue color. And this, shows about the carbon dioxide. And then there is a good percentage of methane, more than 52% here of methane is there. So it says like there is a good volume of methane as well as good percentage of methane in the biogas. So that is the beauty. Then you see the methane yield as well as the volatile fatty acid and alkalinity ratio. So point is that if the volatile fatty acid is less, the methane is more, and vice versa, because then the system uses most of this volatile fatty acid to convert it into the methane. You see here, this filled blue squares and filled red triangles, 25% TS at 52 degrees. It has, you see volatile fatty acid, it is, and ratio it is up to 0.2, but the methane content is around here up to 160. And here also, the volatile fatty acid is very high, but the methane content is very low, because it's the volatile fatty acid which is getting converted to the methane. And then there is a very nice correlation of R square value of around 0.96, which says most of the volatile fatty acid is converted. It's not the very ideal system that 100% conversion or efficiency will be there, but it's a very significantly acceptable level of conversion which is happening here, that most of the volatile fatty acid is getting converted to biogas or methane. Similarly, we also tested for the selection of alkali loading, potassium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, and calcium hydroxide at 4 different loading rates or concentration, that is 1, 2, 3, and 4 gram per 100 gram of extra for the per millet extra. And the process targeted was hydrolysis and acidogenesis, because here only we can, since this hydrolysis step is the bottleneck, this is the slowest. So here we have to make it fast so that rest of the steps are becoming more faster and we have more yield. So you see here the upper 4 layers, they are potassium hydroxide, then sodium hydroxide, and then last here it's calcium hydroxide. So potassium hydroxide, which is a kind of mild alkali, it's a 2% concentration for 100 gram of straw. It has given highest methane yield compared to the rest of the alkali and their alkali loadings. And similarly, it has a more methane percentage if you see the right picture, right graph. And then again, we try to compare the TVFL alkalinity ratio with this methane, and we found again like there is a more methane once there is a little volatile fatty acid and alkalinity ratio is there. And all this is because all this volatile fatty acid is getting converted to methane, leaving a few. And this was true for this, you see, PMS 2% KOH. So here it was true, like a very low volatile fatty acid ratio, and then you have highest methane here, it's a triangle form. And then again, in the right picture, you see R square was around 0.96. So that is also a very good correlation for the VS reduction, because then it simply says like volatile solid is getting reduced. It means indirectly that most of these volatile fatty acids are going to be converted to methane. And then we tested about the selection of biochar loading. And this biochar was from the hardwood, pyrolyzed hardwood biochar, PHWBC, which was procured with a company in the Jodhpur in the Rajasthan itself. And the loading rates were 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30 grams per liter into the inner plant. And then again, all this, targeted these 3 processes, because then there is a lot of electron transfer from acidogenesis phase to esterogenesis phase and methanogenesis phase, because it's all the enzymes are in electron which keeps on jumping around from one step to another. And then you see the pyrolyzed hardwood biochar at the rate of around 10 gram per liter that produced highest methane over here compared to the rest of the concentrations. You see from top layer, from bottom, they were quite less. And then it was a very good percentage of methane, around maybe 70% of methane in the biogas, the rest 30% was the carbon dioxide. So, and you see here again the methane content, the TVFL ratio, and the pH. So, and it has shown around methane, with the methane it has shown around 0.98 correlation, which is again good, that most of the methane has been produced by conversion of all these volatile solid. And this graph also shows the extent, like how nicely this, you see the top, methane has been produced more than the rest of the two factors. So conclusions, what we get from all these experiments, that total solid, the TS, and temperature play a vital role in solid state anaerobic digestion of agricultural vegetable. 20 to 25% total solid showed maximum methane yield at both mesophilic as well as thermophilic conditions. Thermophilic in the sense 50 degree and plus, mesophilic 35 degree and up to 37. More than 25% of TS, increasing the TS, concentration in both the temperature conditions showed a decline in methane yield because everything has a limit. So if you see here, yes. So if you increase it to 30%, it has less methane yield. If you increase to 30%, it has less methane yield here. So because then the microbes, they don't like too much of the feedstock into the system, because then the water content is very less, and then they don't like too much of the disturbance into the system. Then I think there is a alkali loading of around 1.4 fold increment has been caused with the help of use of potassium hydroxide, because then it slowly removes the lignin and puts the cellulose fiber for the hydrolysis with the help of pre-treatment process. And pre-treatment process I have already explained you. So you might be thinking like how this KOH work. I'll tell you an experiment. We all know this sugarcane, ganna, eek. And we all have, purchased a glass of sugarcane from the shops. And then leftover, what this sugarcane juice person from the machine on the street extracts, then it's unused, or he dries it and he simply burns it. You can borrow, 10 centimeter long sugarcane, from which the juice has been extracted and it has become flat while undergoing the juice extraction machine. You dry it, or you get it dried from this juice wala from the street, and you bring it into the lab, cut it with the help of scissor into small pieces, suppose 1 by 1 centimeter square size. Add, maybe in 50 ml glass beaker, you add few pieces of this chopped sugarcane bagasse. We call it sugarcane bagasse. Once its juice is extracted and it's the waste, the lignocellulosic biomass waste from the sugarcane. And then you add around 30 to 35 ml of water into this glass beaker. And then from the chemistry lab, you put few pellets of the sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide into it and wait for 10 minutes. You will see that the whole water in this glass beaker has become brown. Why? Because this alkali has chopped down the lignin, which is the nature's glue and keeping all these cellulosic fibers all together. So it has worked on the lignin, removed it, and once you put your hand and try to remove it with a spatula, you see that there is a very nice cellulose fiber like a new cotton. You can feel it. But beware with the sodium and potassium hydroxide, they are alkali, they can give you some kind of itching on your skin. So that's why I'm asking you to use a spatula or any spoon, whatever you have at that time, because lignin has been removed, and then this biogas, then this sugarcane bagasse, it will be just like a cotton fiber, the cellulose, because lignin has been removed with the help of sodium or potassium hydroxide, and that's why the color has become brown. The lignin has brown color, and it has been dissolved basically. So you can feel that. And then once you have this cellulose fiber, all these bacteria are very good in enzyme production. They produce enzyme which chops down all this cellulose polymer to the monomeric units of the glucose, and then you can have whatever you want from the glucose with the help of right microorganisms. So just, if possible, do it in the lab. You will find it really interesting. And then the biochar, pyrolysis hardwood biochar, loading showed maximum methane yield up to 2-fold. So it enhanced the methane yield up to 2-fold once you use 10 gram of biochar per liter. And then pH was increased because of this biochar loading, because it's alkaline in nature, the biochar which is produced from the hardwood system. Then for the objective 2, to derive the scale-up conditions for full-scale anaerobic digester and perform economic analysis for energy production. So already we have like part 1, total solid, part 2, potassium hydroxide per gram of 100 grams. Then we have pyrolyzed hardwood biochar, that is 10 gram per liter. We have all this. Then Taguchi's design of experiment was clubbed with Gray relation analysis, GRA. There were parameter optimization, there were confirmatory tests, and then there were economic analysis, so that we could have the full scale up conditions for the energy application and the economic analysis. And this was the part 4. So you see here that from the part 1 to 3, we have the data, and then we try to go for L9 orthogonal array, and then we have all these trial numbers, 9 trial numbers. I'll go one to one. And then we have the system boundary and economic analysis and everything. So you see, feedstock was part millet straw. Again, same parameters. Total solid we have already optimized. Feedstock to inoculum ratio we have. KOH we have. Biochar concentration we have. We tried to put L9 orthogonal vector, because then the number of experiments performed with it is like total R1 to R9, I mean reactors. And then it was optimized for level 1, 2, and 3. So L9 orthogonal vector array of the input control parameters. Here you see everything like total solid 20, total solid 22 and a half, then total solid 25, feedstock to inoculum ratio 468, 468, KOH 0.5 to 1.5, pyrolyzed hardwood biochar 10, 15, 20, 10, 15, 20. So we have analyzed all, and then Taguchi's DOE method says like the maximum is coming from the R2. Here you see R2, 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 TVF alkalinity like R2, because by the time it's low, by the time VS is reduced, you have more and more methane. So R2, combines very well, although there are a few exceptions also. And this is the equation in the Taguchi's design of experiment for the grade relation analysis. And then this is the SSAD solid state anaerobic digestion 4th part, Taguchi's DOE, and it says signal to noise ratio, the larger is the better. So if you see, this is the output response, this is the signal to noise ratio. So what happened, that main effect of this plot of each parameter on grade relation grade tells you that if anything is larger here, that is the better, and I'll tell you here. See, analysis of this grade relation grade of this, all the factors was performed for the selection of those parameters in the process of solid state anaerobic digestion, like TS, total solid, FI, feedstock to inoculum ratio, KOH, potassium hydroxide loading, and then biochar loading. So point was, out of these 4 parameters, who is affecting the biogas production at maximum and who has the highest percentage contribution. That is the overall agenda in the Taguchi's design of experiment and grade relation analysis experiment. Then we found that it is the pyrolyzed hardwood biochar that has the highest percentage contribution in enhancing the methane yield in the system, and by 2-fold, and it has overall 48% of the contribution. So it means like this biochar is very important, entity for production of biogas in the system. Potassium hydroxide, of course, we used it for the pre-treatment, and then since it removes the lignin, the barrier, because it minimizes the recalcitrant, it exposes the cellulose, because before pre-treatment, this KOH was, or before the pre-treatment or before the KOH was not applied, the cellulose was covered with a layer of lignin. So what is the job of potassium hydroxide is to remove the lignin and uncover or expose the cellulose so that this bacteria or microbes could attack on this polymer and hydrolyze it to its monomeric unit, that is glucose, and again this glucose will be converted to methane. So potassium hydroxide has a very important role of around 21% contribution for the enhancing the methane yield in the system. Feedstock to inoculum ratio, you have to have the good amount of inoculum and feedstock, and they have to be in a good synergy. Otherwise, if you put very much of feedstock, too much of food for the microbes, they may not eat it. Or if you put too much of inoculum, they may not like, because then there will be less food. So it has to be balanced. And then this has only 15% contribution in the whole system. The total solid content has the impact or contribution of around 4.46% only. So although you increase the total solid or not, but it will be having the minimum contribution in enhancing the methane yield. But in this system, this is the biochar, which has the highest contribution of around 48%, that has led to the enhanced levels of biogas production in the system. So the TS showed only 4.4 contribution in the SSAD process. Potassium hydroxide concentration showed around 21% contribution in the methane yield, and paralyzed hardwood biochar came out to be most impactful factor among others and showed around 48% contribution in the enhancement of the biogas production. So again, the confirmatory test was put in the triplicates control and as well as optimized system. And then it was around 20% TS at 52 degrees, 20% TS 52 degrees, and then you have potassium hydroxide, you have biochar. And then here you see there is a overall, once you combine the potassium hydroxide, once you combine the biochar, once you combine the total solid and thermophilic condition, then there is around 1.8-fold increase in the overall biogas production from the system compared to the untreated one, where there has been no addition of the potassium hydroxide or pyrolyzed hardwood biochar, or there has been no increase in the total solid. So it simply says, like, if you have the higher solid concentration, if you have good concentration of potassium hydroxide, as well as if you have good amount of biochar into it, it is just going to give you 1.8 times more methane compared to the untreated system or controlled system here. And this is optimized, the blue and red one. So this is the confirmation test of experimental and predicted cumulative methane yield. You see the control is like blank triangle, and here control is the diamond, the blue. So this is the predicted as well as controlled over here. So predicted and controlled, they are almost overlapping, as well as for the optimized also predicted and controlled. Even optimized is much more better compared to the predicted values. So that is how the system has produced more and more biogas from the agricultural estate. Then we compared our result with the other internationally published literature, and then we found like there are different types of feedstock like wheat straw, rice straw, and then there are the beer lees, and then there was oil, and then there was the pearl millet straw, and this is liquid state anomic digestion, solid state anomic digestion, and then targeted processes were only hydrolysis or syntropy. But in our case, we have added hydrolysis and syntropy simultaneously, because you are adding potassium hydroxides for enhancing the hydrolysis, and you are adding biochar for enhancing the syntropy. So we are adding both the things at a time simultaneously, and then it has increased around 1.8-fold. You see, 1.8-fold in this study. That is the highest increase in the whole system compared to the others which are working single process wise as a syntropy or hydrolysis. And this all information has been published. Just a moment, I have to take this, sorry. Hello? 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 Maybe next time, नहीं करके ही ना, ठीक है? हाँ हम करके देना भी किसी का हम भेज देंगे. Sorry, I have to take it. So all these findings has been very well accepted by the Journal of Cleaner Production with very high impact, bioresource technology, Nature Springer reports. So these all data have been really very much been liked by the reviewers as well as the editors and its readers, and it has already been published. So, and then we come to the second part, where there is a techno-economic assessment. So a result of all this solid state anaerobic digestion fourth step for techno-economic analysis of full-scale SSLE plant has been summarized over here. And then a garage type bioreactor was assumed for techno-economic analysis in batch solid state anaerobic digestion condition. So untreated is called scenario 1, treated is called scenario 2. So volume is around 300 cubic meter, temperature 52 degrees, project life 25 years, interest rate 7.5%. Simultaneously, treated reactor for the scenario 2, so we can call it scenario 1 and 2, untreated and treated. So volume is same, temperature is same, here we add alkali, here we add biochar, project life and rate of interest is same. So what will be the net present value, internal rate of return, payback time of all this system, because you are adding all this alkali and biochar and heat for the temperature enhancement and everything. So what will happen financially, whether this model will be sustaining, whether this bioreactor will be in profit or we will be in loss, all these things were analyzed and assessed. In the right hand side, you are looking at system boundary for the techno-economic assessment, where you have transportation of permeate straw, labor which will unload and deload from the trucks or the delivery vehicle. Then there is a grinder which will shred the PMS, permeate straw, to the different sizes. Then there is a pump water supply. It will mix the things with the help of water and cow dung. And then there is a inoculum from existing liquid anaerobic digestion plant. The inoculum will go with the help of pump and everything is mixed nicely. Then there is a person who is operational and manager or maintaining the things. He will also cost some money. All these establishment will also cost some money. So we have shown it in terms of US dollars. And then this is the solid state anaerobic digester. Then once your digestion is complete, you have produced the gas which is going to be used. Then you have solid liquid separator, because what to do with the digestate material which is there in the digester after the biogas production is over. So there is a solid digestate which can be directly used in the agricultural field as a biofertilizer or soil conditioner. And then the biogas produced can be used to generate power. And then there is again heat recovery unit with the help of turbine and generator. And then there is a combined heat and power unit where the biogas can be used to produce heat and power. So all this has been very well drafted and very nicely crafted. Especially this is particular, how much time and volume and the money and everything is there, and how much we want for all this material. For the batch run, how much will be the cost, how much will be the utility and other cost, and what will be the revenue generation. So everything is well documented and well published. So this is the kind of techno-economic indicators where you have LCOE, levelized cost of electricity, net present value, capex, opex, R depreciation rate, total plant life, everything, IRR, internal return rate, payback time, and then you have labor cost, feedstock cost, and purchasing cost, etc. So once it's getting to be done, then what we see, like in scenario 1 and 2, you see scenario 1, the US dollar per 25 years. So in the scenario 1, capital expenditure is around 73,000 US dollar for 25 year, and even for the scenario 2, it's same because we are investing on it. The PMS costs nothing because it's directly coming from the agricultural land. Then the inoculum, it costs nothing because it is coming from the biogas plant. Additives like biochar and KOH, they cost, of course, they cost some money. So in scenario 1, untreated, we are not adding anything, but in scenario 2, we are adding, so it costs around 3,650 US dollar. Operational expenditure and maintenance in US dollar per year. Maintenance and electricity the same, 3,650. Then labor more or less same, and transportation more or less same. And then you see here the scenario 1 and scenario 2, electricity generated in the scenario 1 is lesser compared to the scenario 2. Here it's 10,000 plus, here it's 16,000 plus. Digested, here you generate less digested because you are under solid state non-digestion, and most of the feedstock is digested and used because of the presence of the potassium hydroxide, which can add into removal of lignin, so that more cellulose is exposed, and if more cellulose is exposed, it will be getting converted to more methane, and then there will be less leftover. Point is that. Techno-economic indicators, levelized cost, it's around 0.112, which is much less compared to this. Net present value is huge difference. You see here only up to 1,088, and it's 25,652. Internal rate of return 7.6, here it's 11.2. Payback time in the years, the scenario 1, the untreated pays you back in around 11 years. Here it pays you around just in 8 years back. So all these indicators, again the same 15% and minus 15%, this is sensitivity analysis. So plus minus 15%, but they are in a good range. Even the efficiency of the CHP unit we have tried to optimize and tell you, so they are in the good range actually. So what is happening and what we see about the objective 2, that increment in the hydrolysis rate and syntropic activity help to achieve 1.8-fold higher methane yield compared to the control. 0.36 and 0.7 has been the TBFA and unpredicted ratio. So 0.3 for the optimized condition, while for control it was 0.76. And then optimum range for the healthy anaerobic reactor is 0.4 to 0.6. So this is quite nice, 0.3. Techno-economic assessment showed that addition of biochar and alkali helped to achieve higher NPV as compared to the non-addition of alkali and biochar. The payback time, as we already saw, that it's around 8.2 years for the scenario 2 and 11.2 years for the untreated one. Internal rate of return was around 11.9%, which gives you very good IRR, and the project can be employed with the help of simultaneous treatment and centrof, both at the same time. So this is one of the presentations and findings and observations I was thinking to share with you all. Let me know if there are any questions. Then we can proceed for the rest half. Okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Dhrubajyoti, please tell me if there are any questions. And
There is
I
one
can
question
answer.
in the chat box. There is one question. Is there any specific standards of the
Okay.
use biochar?
Okay. So it's specific in the standard in the sense it has to be a very fine particle size. I think all those companies, they try to point out what is the moisture content into the biochar, what is the particle size, how much is the total gravity. So all these standards, they are very nicely indicated on the packet of biochar. But for this work, it is not very different. Here we try to use only hardwood biochar because there will be difference in the softwood biochar. There will be difference in the soft materials biochar like grass, if you are producing from the grass or leaves. So here we have used hardwood biochar. So there is a not specific, but for this purpose, yes, hardwood biochar will be much better because then it will have a good particle size, good stability, and good gravity, and a lot of electrons to roam around.
Okay. There is another question. In your opinion, sir, what is the potential research for enhancing the PBT in future?
Okay, the PBT. Can you explain? Abu. Option A 2. Okay. Okay. There is a huge potential because you have already seen, and we will be, very uh, soon putting this thing into the agricultural land also, so that we can see it. And because in Rajasthan, the population is sparse. Suppose if you go towards Jaisalmer, towards Pakistan border or Western Rajasthan, then if your car gets punctured, you will not find even people to repair it. Like 10 kilometers, so you are getting one village, or 20 kilometers, you are getting one village, or 5 kilometers. It's like that. So our idea is to fix these kind of plants in one of the fields, and then fix it with the pearl millet straw, and then let the energy come out. And once it's really producing very good amount of energy, we have already seen that, then it will be a kind of game changer actually. So it has a lot of potential in the research as well as in applied aspect. Thank you, Abu. Just let me know if I could be of any help, if you have further ideas and questions. Any other questions, Dr. Neo?
No questions so far, sir. Sure.
Okay. So if the candidates want 5 minute break, I can take a break. If they want me to continue, I can. How the rest of the things has functioned, because if you want me to continue, I can start the next lecture, or if you want to take 5 minute break.
So it is up to you, because we are finding it very unique and interesting topic. Because such topics before we have not heard these mechanisms of anaerobic digestion process in detail. We have not heard actually.
Yeah.
I'm
So
finding it
maybe
very
I'll
interesting.
take 5 minute break so that rest
Sure,
of the
sir.
people
Sure.
can relax,
Sure.
and
Sure.
I will
Sure.
be back. Okay. Yeah, I'm here already. 5 minutes. So we'll meet 1:40. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm back actually. Dr. Neo, can we start?
Yes, sir. Please start.
Is it visible?
Visible, sir. Visible.
So I think this uh, presentation of this part will be more interesting to most of you, because what we try to work is in the very much applied area where the research finding directly can be utilized.
Okay.
So this is one of the just food waste or resource. So this is a common slide where process of photosynthesis, takes place uh, over here, and then glucose and biomass is fixed. And then you have agricultural and food supply chain. You have agriculture produce 100%, then it goes to storage, transportation, processing, retail, and consumer. And I think around 35 to 40% food is wasted at the world level. And the food waste is much more produced by the developed countries compared to the developing countries. So it means if you are more prosperous, you waste more food actually. So we have also compared the organic waste, the food, as well as the yard waste, the grass clippings and trees and mowings, as well as their twigs and leaves. So it has different moisture content and lipid, protein, volatile fatty acid, and total solid, etc. So then what we tried to do, we have tried how much food is wasted in our hostels by our students actually. So pre-cooked, I mean preparation, once you peel potato and other sabji and chapati, and once the students have eaten out, and then what is the leftover in the dustbins, all that stuff. So on daily basis, we try to weigh the different amount of food waste from the different hostels in the campus. Like This is the hostel name: Arvindo, Gargi, Parijat, Varun, Kabir, etc. On Monday to Sunday, every day. So this is the pattern what we got, and this is the combined. All these ones, all these hostels, and every day was combined. All these 7 days. Then here you see, we get from all the hostels more than 500 kilo around here, 500 something. So its maximum food is wasted on Friday. And then this food waste is the data of the breakfast time, lunch time, as well as dinner time. So we waste around 500 kilo of food every day from the hostels only. Although we have not added any faculty accommodation or non-teaching staff's accommodation house food waste. So this is only from the hostels of boys and girls. So in campus, around 500 plus kilo of food is wasted every day. Then we tried to, physically and chemically characterize it with the help of moisture content and total solid, volatile solid, protein, total organic carbon, and ash. So, so here you see there is around 78% moisture. So it means 20 to 22% food waste is having total solid. Total solid is around 20 to 22%. Because we are curry loving people. We like dal, we like curry, we like chole, we like rajma. So anything, the gravy, vegetables and all that stuff. So that's why in our Indian system, there's a lot of moisture in our food waste as well as municipal solid waste, both. So, and not only in India, but most of the Asian countries, because we are curry loving people. Curry, again, I'm saying you vegetable gravy, chicken, mutton, or any non-veg gravy, and chole, dal, rajma, kadhi, all that stuff. So point is that if it is coming in that huge amount, the idea is whether it will be good to incinerate it and get energy. No, because it has up to 80% of moisture. So if you are going to incinerate it to get rid of it, you will be pumping more energy. There will be more energy input compared to energy output. So that is not one of the sustainable way to incinerate the food waste from India and get energy out of it with the help of incineration. So you'll be pumping more energy and getting lesser energy. So the main point is, why not go for biochemical conversion of this food waste and produce biogas? So again, here there is a green waste from the campus. So green waste in the sense there are parks, there are fields, there are leisure time, walking areas. So then there is a grass, there is a nice trees around the campus, nice shrubs around the campus. So they keep on dressing the caretakers, the gardeners, they keep on cutting them, and then we have a lot of green waste also coming out from the campus. So it has a moisture content of around 20%. So it has like 80% solid around, and ash content and total organic carbon content, etc. And this is the inoculum from the biogas plant. You see in the right upper corner, there is a slurry of the cow dung, which is collected from the biogas plant. This was also characterized. It has around 92% of moisture content, and total solid around 7 to 8%. Volatile solid and volatile solid of total solid. So, and then we also tried to characterize the food waste and garden waste with the help of ICP-MS to detect if there are any metals present. So there is a presence of aluminium, arsenic, little bit, no, copper, little bit, and it's very much in the garden waste. Then there is a lot of iron in the garden waste, even in food, because of the green leafy vegetables, etc. There is a lead in the garden waste. Here it's very little, 0.2, that's almost nothing. And mercury, which is not detectable, and it was in the garden waste, inoculum amounts. So we tried, because it indirectly tells about the quality of food also we are serving our students. So medically it is quite fine. There is no harm at all, no danger at all. Then we also, went for the food wastes and garden waste and inoculums carbon nitrogen ratio. That's what I was talking about in our previous presentation, the CN ratio. So it is around 20 for the food waste, you see, because, can you tell me why? 20 for the food waste, anybody? I told you in the last, the wheat straw was having CN ratio of around maybe 125 and more. Here, can you tell me why it's 20? Anybody? No? Okay, I'll tell you. Because it has a lot of protein into it, because of the dal, because of the meat, because of the egg, etc. in the food waste. And then because of the protein, there is a amino group, that is the presence of nitrogen. And once the nitrogen is there, the CN ratio will be less. So this is the right, combination. Why not add this food waste and garden waste in such a permutation and combination so that the CN ratio becomes somewhere in between 30 to 35. We have also characterized it with the help of FTIR spectroscopy, food waste, garden waste, and inoculum. And then we saw like there were n number of different groups present in the food waste as well as garden waste, which are very much, good for the anaerobic digestion. So we also tried to, theoretically calculate what is the potential of this food waste in terms of LPG commercial cylinders. So if you look around here, there is a Buswell equation, then there is a paper also here, Anantakrishnan et al. 2013. If you want, I will share more information. This is the efficiency and this is the conversion rate, etc. So if you look here, 468, what we have done here, I'll tell you, we have taken average of all these 7 days. Because here it's very high, then Sunday it's low, Saturday it's low, and Friday is highest because most of the students, they go on partying in the dinner time. And then they don't eat in the mess. So that's why food is much more leftover and wasted. So you see, so we have taken all these, average of all these 7 days. And it came to be around 468 kilo of wet food waste. And if we take around 20 to 22% total solid, then it becomes 101 kilo of total solid. Let's say 100 kilo. Then 93 kilo is, volatile solid, rest is ash. Out of this, total organic carbon, is around 51%. And if we assume that there is 100% degradation or only 50% degradation, so it's around 51% and 25 kilo of carbon that is degraded. Again, this from 51 and 28, if we go with the help of Buswell equation, then its conversion can produce 41 or 21 kilo of methane, which have this much moles of methane. And this much moles of methane will have this much liters of methane. This many liters of methane will have 57 cubic meter of methane or 28.5 cubic meter of methane. Again, we have tried to take the average of these two, and we have settled somewhere around 45 cubic meter of biogas because of the methane and CO2 percentage in the biogas. And then you see 1 cubic meter of biogas is equivalent to 450 gram of liquefied petroleum gas, LPG. So 1 cubic meter of biogas is around 0.45 kilo of LPG. And then 45 cubic meter of biogas is equivalent to 20 kilo of LPG. And then this 20 kilo of LPG is for 1 day. Think about here 460 kilo of food waste. So this directly corresponds here. This orange indicator directly corresponds here. And if we multiply it with 365, then you get this much kg of LPG in a year. And if you divide it by 19, you get 358 LPG commercial cylinders. My point is, the message I want to convey, like we as a campus, produce that much amount of food waste, which has the energy potential of one LPG commercial grade cylinder. Okay. So this is the theoretical calculation, and at lower limits, not even at higher limits. And then we try to, oh sorry, I have to take it. Hello? So based on the CN ratio, we tried to have different permutation and combination of percentages of food waste and green waste or garden waste. So we took cellulose and triplicate like 3 bottles. You see here all these biogas bottles in the incubator. We took 3 inoculums as a negative control, 3 cellulose for the positive control. So food waste as a alone single, and here you have garden waste for 3 bottles as a single monodigestion, and then you have different ratios like food waste 85%, garden waste 15%, food waste 15%, garden waste 18%, food waste and garden waste 50% each, food waste garden waste 25 to 75, food waste garden waste 75 to 25, and all these experiments have been done in triplicate. So 9 combinations, and then 9 threes are 27 bottles. So we tried to fix it over here in the incubator at 37 degrees, 90 rounds per minute for 45 days, and all the details. So this is the design of experiment, not the Taguchi, but the normal. And then we see here, this is the cumulative biogas production till 45 days over here. So the top line here, it says 75 and 25 ratio of food waste, 75% of food waste and 25% of garden waste, because then we are here near to the CN ratio of 30 to 35. It produces highest volume of the biogas. So we need to very much be careful to aware our village people, the farmers, even we ourselves, if we don't know that the CN ratio is very important parameter for the biogas plant. Once it is followed, your reactor will produce a lot of biogas and it will not collapse, it will not stop at all. And if you keep on feeding too much of food or any kind of feedstock, that is again the biogas plant is not going to be very nice, because if you feed too much, it will not work. I mean, even if we are human beings, if we eat too much, if we like something, suppose chicken, mutton, fish, or vegetable, or any sweet or any snacks, if we eat too much, even our tummy goes bad and we have to visit toilet many times. So that is same here. Like if we are feeding the biogas plant too much, then the bacteria cannot handle it, and then biogas plant stops. So the CN ratio is very important parameter which has to be taken care of. The lowest one is the garden waste. If you see here, this gray color, that is producing the lowest biogas in the system, because it has not been pre-treated. It is a solid biomass which takes a lot of time to get degraded. Food waste alone, this orange square, filled orange square, is food waste alone, which is producing more biogas compared to the garden waste. And here, sorry, here rest of the other permutation and combination and ratios, they are producing in between the food waste and the highest producing combination, that is 75% food waste and 25% garden waste. So that is the beauty of the anaerobic digestion system, that if you are in the system where it can go fast with the CN ratio, it will produce a lot of biogas and good quality, in the sense higher methane content will be there. We also used kind of some small amount of additives in bioreactor, which could improve its performance significantly. And then the applicability of any kind of additive is strongly dependent on type of substrate used in the bioreactor. Again, I'm saying that there could be mismatch of the substrate what we apply. Limiting the metals required by enzymes for chemical reaction may disturb the overall process in the bioreactors. Among 4 metal oxides, like nanoparticles, TiO2, titanium dioxide, and then aluminum oxide, silicon dioxide, and zinc oxide, only zinc oxide showed inhibitory effect. Rest of this titanium, aluminum, and silicon, they showed a little bit improvement. A total of 5 sets of bottles with different doses of titanium dioxide was prepared with different combinations and concentrations of these nanoparticles. And but all these nanoparticles, they didn't improve the production too much. So they were in the almost more or less same range over here. And then we also tried to go with the kinetic study of this overall process. So we used modified Gompertz equation, logistic equations, and then this modified Gompertz equation, where you have soundness of this kinetic equation, logistical as well as modified Gompertz. So modified Gompertz was much more, nice than showing R square up to 0.99, where you have predictive cumulative biogas production and experimental cumulative biogas production. So this was very nice with the help of nanoparticles and as well as with the help of different ratios of food waste as well as garden waste. So here is the logistic model, and this is the Gompertz model, which clearly shows that there is a nice correlation between the predicted as well as experimental cumulative biogas production. So the conclusion of this food waste experiments was dumping the organic food waste with MSW may lead to the loss of its energy value, because then you don't care and it is used by the bacteria, and then it smells really bad. And if we are going to use this food waste and blend it with the garden waste, it may be used for high volume of rather biogas production. And mixing food waste and green waste at 75:25 ratio enhance the biogas production. And addition of nanoparticles showed like almost no positive effect. Positiveness, although it shows positive, but there was no significant change. Like something without nanoparticle, it was producing 100 milliliters, and then if you add nanoparticle, it produced 140 milliliters. It produced, let's say, suppose like 104 or 103 or sometimes 97, 98. So there was no significant change in the biogas production once you use the nanoparticles. So far, because of we used only quite a few nanoparticles, not too many. There are reports like there are other nanoparticles which are producing more. Like suppose I'm having one of the Indo and Egypt biogas projects, where we are working very nicely for production of green nanoparticle with the help of fungi. And we will be using that. And then there are reports that the mechanism says that it may increase the overall biogas production in the system. So may not be all these metallic nanoparticles, but this green nanoparticles coming out from the plant-based and fungal-based, bacterial-based. So that will be very nice. So overall increment into the biogas production was around 1.7 folds more compared to the digesting food waste or garden waste alone, or we also call it monodigestion of food waste or monodigestion of garden waste, compared to the co-digestion of food waste as well as garden waste. So this is all for this, and thank you so much. Just let me know if you have more questions in the system.
Thank you, sir, for your excellent presentation. Let me check whether there is any question in the chat box. Okay. I think all the questions have been answered already. Thank you, sir, for your enlightening speech. It was a pleasure listening to your unique topic, detail, and it was very detailed and engaging session, and very interesting also to hear about solid state anaerobic digestion process that can convert agricultural waste to usable energy from biomass energy. And you so nicely let us know about you have so nicely presented about the different processes involved in the biogas production that include hydrolysis, acidogenesis, metagenesis, and different parameters that affect biogas production, particularly potassium hydroxide, then total solid content, and also about biosaw. And also you have let us know about the conversion process of organic waste to biogas. And thank you, sir, for sharing your outstanding laboratory work uh, that clearly showed us how you work to convert the agricultural as well as organic waste to some usable energy form. And let me check if there is further question. No. So thank you, sir, for sharing your time and experiences with us. I'm sure everyone will agree that your lecture was the very interesting one. I personally find this lecture very interesting one, and I think one question have been posted. So there is a question: some microbes specialized in petroleum digestion that their reactions result in increasing CN ratio.
Okay.
I will dig deep.
Hello.
Yes, sir. There's a
Yeah. Can you
question
hear
in the
me?
chat box.
Yes. Yes. I'll see.
Uh,
Okay. Uh,
okay. Okay.
there are some microbes specialized in petrolization and their reactions. Yes, there are, but the thing is, those. Yes, I think Abu Libdaya. Thank you for the information. But these microbes, they are specialized for the special petroleum environment. It's not necessary that if they are living over there, they can live in the anaerobic digester also. So we have to think like whether they like this micro environment to live or not. But yes, there are microbes which keep on fixing this CN ratio in a good range. And yeah, I welcome and thank you that you are so interested. You are welcome to contact me anytime. Dr. Neog has my all the contact details, and yeah, anybody
Sure,
can.
sir. I will say. I will say.
Just, even I will welcome you, for internship, for summer training, for your dissertation with the, all those formal institutes, rules and regulations. So if any one of the students or faculty members, they want to, come and perform some laboratory experiments, you are very welcome. I do have a number of running projects, including Indo-Egypt, Indo-Austria, Indo-European Union. So anytime you can, just come around and do the nice piece of work because I'm not a petroleum guy. So, so yeah, let us exchange the knowledge, exchange the expertise, and grow together.
Thank you, sir, for your offer. We'll definitely utilize this one. Before we end this session, sir, I would like to request to be with us for a moment so that we can take a group photo session,
Yes.
group photograph of yours along with participants. All participants are requested to kindly turn on their videos for this photo session. Thank you all. Thank you, sir, once again for your support. And
Thank you.
I hope we'll meet again, sir, in
Sure,
some
sure.
other place. Cheers.
And just let me
Thank
know if I could be of further help. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Cheers.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Mishra ji. देख के अच्छा लगा. Thank you, Dr. Neo. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye all the participants and have good time. Yeah, please collect as much as information you can. Thank you, Kanipriya, for your presence, and thank you, Kapil Dev, Velan. I can't read all the names. Yeah, but thank you. Namaskar and bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, sir. Dear participant, I would also like to thank all of you for being in this session and making it a successful one. We'll meet again in our next session at 3 p.m. Kindly join. Thank you all.